Jerry Levinson of Carpets of Arizona. Good to see you, Jerry.
Hey Todd, good seeing you.
So, I see you post a ton of videos online. I think you're one of the people that really understands digital and, creating content. And I want to get into a lot of that, but I kind of want to start, just take a step back, hear about how you got to start Carpets of Arizona. I know you came from a previous industry, and just talk to us like how many stores you have and how many employees you have, just so we get a sense of, where the business is at today and where you came from.
I always say I owned a company called Blind Devotion, which was a dating service where we matched blind people to ugly people. No, actually, it was a window covering business, and ran that for 20 years, and then got more into consulting. Came across a guy that owned a flooring company called the Carpet Broker, and just tons of opportunity. And I could see everything that he was doing wrong. Expert in flooring, but not in marketing and sales. So my son just got back from the Army, and we decided to pump a little bit of money into it and start Carpets of Arizona. So right now we've got 2 stores. We've been playing around with a 3rd store, that idea, that concept, and very aggressive growth plans.
Cool. So how many employees do you guys have in total now?
I've got 7 or 8 full-time employees. I can never tell the count. I have to count it down. So
Sure.
With Shane and I, there's probably 9, 10. And then a lot of subcontractors that do the installations.
Yep.
That pretty much only install for us. So.
Yep. So basically, your employees.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you give a lot of advice on content and marketing. I assume you've had some like really good case studies and things that go wrong, right? In order to kind of be on the cutting edge, you have to do some marketing things that work, some that don't work.
Yeah.
I know when we first met, you had shown me a video of the Pawn Stars video, which I'll link in the comments, which I thought was hilarious. But what are some of 1 or 2 marketing things that have gone wildly successful for you, and 1 or 2 that just failed, miserably, but good learning experience?
I was thinking about this because I watch your videos all the time too, and you give a lot of advice based on data. Mine is based on experience. So I do use the data. I do meet with my web company all the time, but it's also by experience. And there's a lot of things that we do that we think are good ideas that don't end up working. So you've got to know and understand to scrap those ideas quickly and move on to the next thing. But really, it's learning what customers believe, what they think, what they understand. I'll give you a great example. The industry is married to this idea, this concept that customers want carpet that cleans well. Well, one of the things I did when I started this business was I just listened to customers as they were coming in because I wanted to know what they wanted. And what I found is no customer came in looking for a carpet that cleaned well.
Sure.
That was another question that they asked. But then all the manufacturers are telling you this is the most important thing. It's on all the displays. It's the thing that they make most important. If somebody's buying criteria is something that cleans well, they're going to go to a hard surface. They're not really looking at carpeting. So being really curious about what customers think and dumbing it down to a way that we're talking to them at their level. Yep. They don't purchase flooring that often. So assuming that they're knowledgeable about it is a bad assumption to make. And talking to them in ways that you feel that they're knowledgeable is a bad assumption to make.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Listen, when we look at the search terms on people on Google, it's like flooring or hardwood flooring. No one has any idea of what they're getting themselves into. But I've seen you post some, we've talked together about some marketing ideas. Is there one that comes off, just immediately when you think of one idea that's worked really, really well? Is there something that comes to mind as a case study?
The best by far has been showing people what the prices are. Giving them some sense, because that's the one thing that people are looking for. And I've tried to teach people this from a marketing and sales standpoint, how to handle this. You don't have to be exact on pricing. You couldn't be, especially on carpet. There's so many variables to the measurements as well as there is hard surfaces. But to not give anybody any information, because I want them, and this is people's stance, I want them to call me. Well, they're frustrated. So when they don't see the information they're looking for, they're not going to call you to get it. They're going to look somewhere else. So what we've done is developed 2 videos, actually. And what I found is the second video worked much better than the first. And the first video is about 5 minutes long, and it's just me shooting with my camera. It's a bullshit video. It's not very good.
Sure.
But I found this app called InShot that I use, and I can put text in there and information. So we posted that video to our website, and I shared it on YouTube, shared it on Facebook. But what I found worked much, much better was a simple 20-second video saying, hey, if you want to see what it costs to buy flooring, buy carpeting, go to this video. And then I provide the link to send them to my website.
Sure. Yeah.
And that far outperformed the 5-minute video.
Yeah, I think video is, and you've done this a lot, we've done this a lot, is definitely the future. I mean, even things like Zoom, I can show you kind of even here live, right? I'm sure you've seen some of this, but you could put yourself in your store, right? So you could like be...
Oh, that's cool. I haven't done that.
Right?
That is awesome.
Yeah, so Zoom does a bunch of cool stuff where you can literally take a picture of your store, and from your house, if you're doing like a sales consultation, you could basically do it and make it feel like you're in the store, but really you guys saw them in my house.
That's cool.
But yeah, I mean, I think video has gone a long way over the last couple of years, and now that everyone is starting to use it more and more, we'll probably see some more technology advancements. I guess that leads me into like this whole coronavirus stuff, really challenging times for a lot of people. What do you think is going to change long term about the industry? And like, what can people do in the short term to get through or even take advantage of the situation? You mentioned that you guys are doing really well. Would love to just kind of hear your thoughts on everything that's going on.
Yeah, and I've shared this multiple times. I mean, first of all, I think a lot of people are making a mistake by not getting on the whiteboard. You can see it behind me. I love whiteboards. I went into Jason's cathedral of whiteboards in his office in Ohio, and just love that. I mean, to sit down and put things on the board, think things through is so important. I mean, what's old is new. It's no big mystery. The most important thing is that once a month meeting, and I keep pushing everybody to do this. They've got to dedicate 1 hour a month with their web professionals, so you can go over the analytics, so you can improve. And I even make the point to say, you don't have to really understand bounce rates. You don't have to understand all this, but you're going to keep your web professional accountable, and they are going to want to show you good stats, good performance. They're going to have ideas. So even if you don't understand what they're saying, you're still going to get vast improvement by having that once a month meeting, 1 hour. In this industry, they dedicate an inordinate amount of time to product knowledge.
Yep.
You got to have a PK session. Well, if you don't have customers, all the PK sessions in the world aren't going to do you a lick of good.
Yeah.
And I'm going to sit there and do as much as I can to attract as many customers to my store, good customers that are in my target audience, that want stuff, want good service, good value. They, going for what they want. I want them to raise their hand. I want them to come to my store. I want opportunities. And I get that through marketing. I get that through my web company. I get that, with everything that we do.
Yeah.
All that effort.
Yeah. I mean, like what percent, you mentioned, doing a lot of marketing, like what percent of your revenue, roughly speaking, do you invest in marketing? Like, I know everyone argues what percentage should be. Do you have an idea of what percent you spend on advertising or marketing?
I think typical store can, now I found this is way different with window coverings. So with window coverings at my peak, it was about 8%. At my peak of success, I would say, it was about 8%. With flooring, it starts off at probably 10 to 12% of revenue in the first couple of years. And then when you start hitting your peak, those percentages go down.
Yep.
Because there's all these other things that come into play that make everything more effective. So I think you can see around 5% is the spend. And obviously, the more business you do, the lower the percentages of that spend. So, honing in, again, I can't stress enough that meeting, honing in on what's the right keywords, what performs the best, what videos perform the best. One thing I found in Google My Business, I found that photos are performing better than videos.
Mm-hmm.
I do both. I mean, you
Sure.
don't figure out what's the best and just do that. because that's the best advertising is everything, right? Do everything you can.
Totally. And I know you work with our sister company, Creating Your Space, and I know that's going really well. And I think one thing I want to echo is you mentioned a point of, you need to be able to talk to the customers on the level that they understand the product. I think that's no different than us talking to, web professionals, FloorForce, Creating Your Space, whoever else talking to customers. That's no different anywhere in any type of business, probably, right? That's just good business practice. And I'm curious, like you mentioned PK meetings. How often do you take word for word what that PK meeting is and then translate that over to the customer? Or like, what is the importance of PK meetings really in a world like this?
So I'll have a lot of people argue with me on this. I don't do PK meetings.
Okay.
In fact, if I do a PK meeting, it's rare. I'll let people come in. They can provide lunch. And it's more of a personality thing. And I try to instruct them on how to do the PK meeting. Don't do it like everybody else. I want to highlight the products that sell. And I don't want you to tell my people how it's made. I only care about how it performs.
Yep.
What are we going to tell a customer? But what's the difference on the twist of a fiber? Who cares? One of the best videos I've ever done was doing a carpet cleaner. And he was saying about Bolera carpet. He's cleaned this carpet over 40 times, and it's not untwisting like other carpet.
Sure.
That explanation is so much better than showing the amount of pressure that is applied or any of that information.
Yeah. I mean, they could also spend time talking about the brand story, and I think that's important if the brand does have a really strong story that you can then tell the consumer. But it is interesting, right? I've heard a lot of people with your opinion. I've heard a lot of people on the other side. I actually think you touched two very sensitive topics: showing pricing, and PK meetings. And those are two things you seem to have a very strong opinion on, which is good.
Yeah, pricing is huge. I mean, giving people that information, not hiding it from them, that's huge. And the other big thing is targeting your audience. And we found, like with Bolera carpet, it works really good to say this carpet is especially good for stairs and high traffic areas.
Yep.
What makes it good for that? Well, it's really the sign that I put up that's saying it's good for stairs and high traffic areas.
Sure. Yeah, that's fair.
It's not inherently better than the other carpets, but having that kind of marketing when they see that and you point it out to customers, and we have a set of stairs with that carpet on it, it makes it easy for people to make a buying decision.
Yeah, it makes it easy for them.
Have to do.
Yeah, it makes it easy for them to envision. I'm curious, how many total racks do you think you have in your store, if you were to guess?
Oh, that's a good question. Nobody's asked me that. Probably about 14. I do not let people come in here easily. I mean, the rack has to look good. It looks, I mean, that photo you have in the background looks fantastic. I mean, the people that come in say we have one of the most open, beautiful stores that they go into.
Well, how many do the average retailer? Cluttered. How about the average retailer? How many racks do you think the average retailer has?
Oh, gosh, I never even thought about that. That's an interesting question.
Yeah, I guess the reason I'm going with this is, like, I hear you talk about Bolera, and I know you do certain types of marketing for certain brands. Do you think there's a world in the future of, Carpets of Arizona having 4 racks or limiting it? Because, we talk to a lot of consumers, and they say there's so many options, it's almost overwhelming. But I know a lot of that is color-based, and I get all of that. But is there a world where, coming back from all of this, you see less brands and more focus on those brands for retailers?
No, absolutely not. Because even though you don't sell a product, there are certain racks that are valuable to sell off of. Having a rack that's really expensive is very valuable because it can help you raise the prices of your less expensive items. And it's good to sell off of things. So having a product that's expensive and great quality, it helps somebody compromise and buy something that's less expensive, but they're still buying from you. Now, if you don't have a big enough selection, just visually, then they might go somewhere else.
Yep.
So they're not seeing what they're looking for. And we still get jammed up with people not finding exactly what they're looking for here. So it drives me crazy because I try to make it simple. But if you have 2 fuel racks, if you have 4, you're dead in the water. You're not even serious. When people come in, just psychologically, visually, people would see that you're a joke.
Sure.
And you're going to attract customers that don't want to spend a lot of money. And you're going to be playing this price game rather than being able to sell higher end or quality products.
Sure. Yeah, I'm curious if I were to ask every retailer how many racks in your store, quick gut check how many. It'd be interesting to see.
That'd be a great survey.
We'll have to do that. I'm sure we can get that out of some folks. So lastly, I'm kind of overall curious. A lot of people are pulling back ad spend, pulling back on marketing during these times. I know every store is different, every store is unique. But how are you guys approaching it? I think you hear a lot of stories of brands that win in any type of pullback, whether it's a recession or a short-term thing like this. The brand that is out there and speaking is going to take over everything. So
honestly, the thing that disappoints me the most is the people that aren't reaching out to their suppliers. That's where they need to save the money. That's where they need to get help from the suppliers. They also need to be reaching out to their employees to get some participation there. Pay a little bit less, everybody participate. Advertising spend, especially pay-per-click, because pay-per-click's a very interesting thing in that you only pay for direct search. You're only paying when somebody goes to your site. If there are people that are going to your site, you want them to come to your site, right? I think this is a good opportunity because there are people we know there are people that are pulling back. I want to try and grab some of that market share. It might not be very expensive either.
Yep.
But pay-per-click is by far the best value in marketing that you can do. This is not self-serving. I've said this 1,000 times.
Sure.
And I believe that it is more bottom of the funnel. We talked about this too. I don't remember who I talked about with Layla Evans about Facebook being more top of funnel advertising, get them in your funnel. But pay-per-click is more, okay, I'm ready to buy or come to a store. And if they're clicking on that ad, I think you still want to show up.
Of course.
And we do. And one thing I've found, I have pulled back at times, and I did see a couple months later losing market share. So I'm very reluctant to try and save money there. There's a lot of other places I can save money. I don't want to do it with my pay-per-click specifically.
Yeah, hey, listen, it makes sense. When we were at Google, we would talk about, when we would talk to small businesses, we would say, listen, if people are searching, literally raising their hand, asking, you want to be there when they're raising their hand because that customer is not a one-time buyer. They could buy from you multiple times. So there's got to be other places you can pull back or else you're going to hurt the future cash flows of your business. So I think
let me ask you, Todd, if you have a good position right now in Google and you did pull back, let's say you're spending $5,000 a month in your town and you pull back to $2,000. Mm-hmm. Can you turn around and spend $5,000 again and capture that position again once it's all over?
There's two ways of looking at it. One is with Quality Score, right? Quality Score looks at how good are your ads, how good is your landing page, how much history do you have in ads. You can't get that back. So at the end of the day, you'll slow that down, and it'll be harder to achieve that position. You could. It'll just cost a little bit more money. I think the second thing, and probably the more important thing, is you had 10 people type in hardwood flooring near me, for example, or buy carpet. They then saw the first ad. They went to your competitor if you pulled back, and there's no amount of money that you can ever spend to go put an ad in front of those 10 people that did that search. So that is invaluable, right? Outside of position, I don't think you have no other choice. You'll never get that customer again, and they're probably buying 2 or 3 more purchases, maybe a referral to that competitor of yours. So I think that's really the way I would look at it, is that customer raising their hand, ready to buy.
And then in the realm of beat the box stores, what are they going to do at Home Depot and Empire? Are they going to pull back their spend?
No.
And we can beat those guys in our territory with a good strategy with our web company, honing in on specific keywords in a specific area. We've taken number 1 position in our area.
Yeah,
so
this is the time.
1 or 2.
This is the time, and I think also when you look at the independents versus the box stores right now, going into kind of an independent local store feels, to be honest, cleaner. It feels like a better, more personal experience. Right now, do you want to go to a Home Depot where there's 1 million people in there and it's just no, right? So you can take advantage of that. I think putting more money into paid advertising, if you can afford it, right? You have to make smart business decisions, but you can take market share right now that will help you not now, not in a month from now. It might help you for years to come, right? You are gaining customers. So, yeah.
And the idea of being open or closed, I've tried to give people advice on that. If you say you're open, you're going to get beat up. If you say you're closed, people aren't going to go there. I would just advertise as normal, allow them to make the call or text in the box, get the conversation going so you can still capture that customer. You know, if there's any way for you to measure or give them information to keep them in your funnel so they don't go someplace else, allow them to do that. I wouldn't broadcast it, because being open in some states, you're going to get beat up on social media and get negative reviews from people unfairly who are just, which I did. I got 4 1-star reviews
because you weren't open
after posting a joke in one community saying that the idiots at the cable company, boy, that comment, I got 4 negative reviews. Man. It was a joke.
Well, if you need help, we can reach out to our friends at Google and get that removed for you. We just did that last week, so let me know. Happy to help.
Yeah. Okay, thanks. I even asked them to remove it, and they said no, it didn't. Which it does clearly violate their policy. Those people didn't do business with me. So
yeah, cool.
They didn't. I actually like the 1-star review. I teach a strategy on how to handle 1-star reviews.
Yeah, kill them with kindness.
Not necessarily. It's the 1-star reviews. There are people that didn't do business with you. You cut them off on the road, or they thought your prices were too high. They're generally illegitimate reviews, and the strategy is not to talk to the reviewer, but talk to the person reading the review. And the benefit of it is it's like a car crash. Everybody wants to see the review, and everybody will read the response. So it's your opportunity to give yourself a commercial.
Sure.
And people inherently want to come to your defense. So they will say, oh, yeah, that guy was an asshole. You know, I'm going to go ahead and, you know, I knew that was illegitimate. You have nothing but 5-star reviews. So,
yeah, I mean, it's what they say in politics, right? Never let a crisis go to waste. So if something bad does happen, you can take advantage of that and really give it yourself a platform to talk about, you know, the good things. Yeah. Well, hey, Jerry, I appreciate you taking the time, and let's catch up again soon.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks.